Well, hello there, friends and kin. I hope you're well, and thank you so much for joining me today. It has been raining a good chunk of the day today, so that's why I'm doing this Sunday service in the evening time. I found a window of clear sky, and allegedly we got some more rough weather headed our way, so I decided to seize the window while I had it. And I've already completed my offerings and my prayers. Today I'm smoking on a Carrillo or Carrillo. Never been quite sure how to pronounce it right, but I think it's Carrillo. Honduras blend. Love it. Uh, I think today we're going to continue on with Roger Horn's poem, The Carmina Magistra, found at the very end of The Witch's Devil. I really liked that last week, so I wanted to make sure today we move on to verse 2. And there's 13 total verses, and I think I may complete these before I transition back to Anamkara. Another book I think I'm going to weave into our Sunday service readings. I revisited uh, I revisited it a couple of weeks ago because I was looking for some information, and that's a book called Mystery Teachings from the Living Earth by John Michael Greer. And there's just a lot of good meditative material in there. And I said, this is going to be a good addition for Sunday service readings. And so next, once we finish the Carmina Magistra by Horn, I think we're going to start kind of bouncing back and forth between Anamkara and Mystery Teachings. Give us a good bit of variety in our mix. I met my beloved in a churchyard. Black and comely was his dress. He gave to me a name I keep in secret, written upon a rib bone hidden. He cradled me from head to foot and kindled all between his hands. The blood of my heart he called sweet, the flesh of my body he called lovely. My scars he set as jewels and silver, the bindings upon my hands as bangles. I raised my voice like a newborn crying out as he lit my candle from his ember crown. So last week's verse was about the pursuit was about initiation. Specifically, I think it was about the pursuit of it. The things we do on our part to pursue initiation. This is about experiencing the act of initiation. And in this verse in particular, in experiencing the act of initiation, he mentions a churchyard. And much like a cemetery, this is a place where the dead are laid to rest. And it's a liminal place, a place where the barrier between the living and the dead is thin. And that's important. Those liminal places are places where we can more easily connect with the unseen. And it's there that we meet the initiatory spirit. That spirit then gives to us a secret name, so we're given a sense of identity, first and foremost. That's the first experience, and I find that interesting. That's what Horn alludes to first, is the first thing initiation does. Its primary thing is it establishes a new identity for us. We start to see ourselves in a new light. We start to become a different person. Hence the significance of the secret name. And then he cradled me from head to foot and kindled all between his hands. In that verse, it talks about letting this power take us, surrendering to it. And then it teaching us to see ourselves in this new light. Hence, the blood of my heart he called sweet, the flesh of my body he called lovely. He helps us understand ourselves inside and out, and to look at ourselves in a new light, to begin to look at ourselves in a positive way, and see ourselves no longer as outsiders and cast outs or outcasts, but to see ourselves as unique and beautiful. And then there's this verse about the scars that he sets as jewels and silver in the bindings upon my hands as bangles. He teaches us to look at the things that we thought were ugly about ourselves. At least this is my interpretation. This tutelary spirit teaches us to take the things that we've often thought of as symbols of our outcast nature, symbols of our otherness, and to turn them into sources of pride. And then this last part, I raised my voice like a newborn crying out. You're overcome with emotional ecstasy at the process of being reborn. As he lit my candle from his ember crown. And that means taking your potential. Again, my interpretation. You're allowing this tutelary spirit to ignite your own inner fire, to accept their fire as your own, and to embrace it and move forward with it. And these are some very powerful thoughts to ponder as I've experienced initiation from a couple of different perspectives. I've never been officially initiated as a witch by any specific tradition. I've done multiple self-initiations. The only initiation into an organization that I've ever undergone has been Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And so a lot of this really speaks to me because it talks about the transformative experience of initiation. And in both my self-initiation attempts and my Masonic experience, there's a lot of similarities on how I experience those things internally. And when something hits you really hard and is deeply transformative, the idea of crying out like a newborn, you feel this explosive sense of awakening into something you've never understood before, and you see the world through a completely new set of eyes. That's a powerful thing. And it complements verse 1 very well, because again, we have the things we did in pursuit of initiation, and we have the experience of initiation itself. And this whole section of the book, this Carmina Magistra, is really all about the witch's journey from like start to finish. And you'll see that as we move on, because next week when we do verse 3, you'll see how it focuses on, after being initiated, the witch now orienting themselves in relation to the rest of the cosmos. Horn never really ceases to amaze me. I discovered his book, Folk Witchcraft. It showed up as a suggestion on Amazon. I'd never heard of this guy before. And his perspectives blew me away. I don't agree with him point for point on every last topic, but that's really irrelevant. Most of the stuff that I don't really agree with him on is subjective to each person's individual practice. And it mainly goes with the Wheel of the Year. I have always preferred the 8-spoked Wheel of the Year. And Horn and several other people in the traditional witchcraft current, a lot of them utilize a 6-spoked Wheel of the Year, which is fine. Much of this is personal preference and revolves around how the turning of the seasons manifests in your location. And where I live, we have things that line up relatively well with that 8-spoked wheel that's a product of modern pagan practice. A lot of people really get bent out of shape on that topic, and I'm going to do, somewhere down the line, I'm going to do a Green Grimoire episode on the Wheel of the Year and my experience with it, and just how I apply it and how I pursue it. I do think it's an important part of a witch's practice, and there's a lot of people that would hotly debate me on that one. There's a lot of people that don't see why we should incorporate agrarian festivals in a world that doesn't live an agrarian way of life anymore. And that departure from agrarian life, I don't particularly see as a positive thing. Again, many would probably debate me on that point. But the purpose behind them is connecting you with the living land beneath your feet, uh, connecting with its rhythms, identifying its rhythms, and internalizing them. And it is a tremendous source of power when you are in sync with the land that you are a part of, utilizing the energies available at different times of the year, and showing a little bit of honor and respect to the living land is also that's just good for the soul. It helps remind you that you are you're not the center of the universe, and there are forces out there much stronger than you. Humbling would probably be a good word to use there, but it's just a matter of respect. Nature as a power is central to my path. Now, some others may not see it that way, and that's fine. You do what works for you, buddy. And but for me, that's a foundational element of what I do. And I didn't mean to get sidetracked down this rabbit hole, but again, that's just one of the areas where Horn seems to believe in general the same thing, but he omits the equinoxes from his observance of the wheel of the year, which is fine. I mean, again, that works for him. That's great. But I've always um, I've always enjoyed those particular celestial events. But again, that's up to each of us as individuals, and what works best for us and our relationship with the land beneath us. But other than that one point of disagreement, I think Horn's work is it makes a great foundational starting point for anybody who's new to this particular brand of witchcraft. And his writing style is very accessible. He doesn't use language that's over everybody's head to make himself feel smarter. He talks very in very plain language that is straightforward, and he wants to make sure you understand what he's saying. And the sources he points to are amazing. There's some that I didn't even know about before reading that book. And again, highly recommended. Well, I'm going to quit rambling. Friends and kin, I hope you're well. As always, I enjoy these moments we get to share, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And if we don't see each other before, I'll see you next Sundee service. Have a wonderful evening.